Hello, this is Matthew Chan.
And I'm Tony Centavo.
Welcome to the new episode of the TurnKey Publishing Show. And we're going to continue our discussion today on audio publishing.
Yes.
Now, in the last episode, it was mostly an introductory episode to give you some appreciation of what audio publishing was all about and why I got into it. And in this episode, we're going to get into more of the technical aspects of it. So, Tony, since you were part of one of our recording sessions of an audio product, why don't you go ahead and kick off how we did a setup for one of our recording sessions?
Gladly, Matthew. Ladies and gentlemen, every once in a while in your life you get a chance to experience history. Matthew, do you remember this plate? Do you remember this plate?
Yeah, we got photos of that plate, actually.
Folks, this plate was actually the microphone stand. We had two
we had one, actually. We
only had one microphone clipped on this plate because we didn't have a microphone stand. And in fact, it was a table very similar to this one, and we were like talking like this, you know, taking turns of talking to the microphone. But,
yeah, the three of us were clustered on a table like this, and we had to kind of put it, you know, somewhere in the center of us, so that all of us could speak into the microphone. And we couldn't find anything that would hold it up. You know, we had a little lapel microphone.
Yeah.
And this was the only thing that we could find in this room to make that work.
And so there you go. One of these days when they have stars or our handprints down there on the walk in Hollywood or what have you, you'll say, wow, this is where it all began. But I think Matthew's going to make some very important points as we want you to get involved in publishing and audio publishing. But the point is, it doesn't take a lot of high tech. It doesn't take a fancy studio. You can put together a great product with something as simple as a piece of china. So let me set this aside and make sure we don't break it.
Okay.
This is not ours, as a matter of fact.
And so anyway, I'm glad Tony brought that up. It was his idea to show the plate. I'd forgotten about that, so that was great. But it does go to the point that one of the reasons why I started a TurnKey Publishing series is that people make things too complicated. And part of the complication is what traditional publishers do. They want to keep people out of the game. So they put all these layers of complexity. Now, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, an intentional conspiracy to keep people out. What I am saying is that they're so driven by making the quality, the product so high quality, they throw so much money at it and all these professionals that to justify their livelihood, it becomes an expensive proposition.
Well, that's true. And one of the things that was insightful to me, as we just made reference to the early days, is I always had the mental picture of somebody like Charleston Heston in a studio, you know, with lending that voice to what you said in the previous episode about reading a book, you know, to give the voice to someone's written ideas and things like that. And what I like to always say that Matthew does is he democratizes opportunities.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I take that as a compliment. I really do.
Take away all the huff and fluff and knock down the barriers and tell the average person how they can get in the game. And so that's certainly something I prize in a relationship and what it is we're doing here today.
Right. And one of the things we're going to tackle today is the issue of the recording studio. Because, Tony, when I first started in the audios, at least my own project, we did start in a traditional studio. Right. So we rented studio space for like $20 an hour. And I did a recording with a friend. It was a real estate investing program that I was helping him with.
Right.
And we were partnering up, so I was sort of the producer, but he was the sort of the talent and subject matter expert at the time. And so we did rent the studio, and one of the things I learned in the studio that we were in, you know, so, you know, they had this big mixer, they had a recording room, this nice microphone, and all this stuff. And at the heart of it all, you know, what I observed is it was on a PC. At the end of the day, I said, where did all this music go? It didn't go to a tape. It went into a sound file on the computer.
Yeah.
That's what I was able to discern from all of that. I was like, I want to know what that software is. And, you know, I later found out that software was called Sony SoundForge.
Okay.
Now, of course, back then, it wasn't made by Sony, but the SoundForge product was in existence. But today, it's known as Sony SoundForge, and you can get it for like $50.
Is that right?
It's
Wow.
amazing. Despite all this other stuff and huff and puff and all this stuff, it boiled down to a PC, a microphone, and a little piece of software. And that's what I was able to discern going forward.
Well, the thing that in the course of about 6 or 7 years of me going on radio and being on different talk shows and then recording commercials, I saw how everything ultimately in what had formerly been the radio booth, the announcer's booth, went down to a PC. I mean, really, they were running the radio station from a computer. And so, yeah, I mean, technology probably had a lot to do with that. And at the point in time, I guess you got involved maybe when things were at that point.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, everybody here, you've got a PC. It's a matter of having the software.
Well, it's even the DJs today. More and more DJs, okay, whether you're out on a dance club
they don't take
or even on the radio. I mean, they're not swapping out records.
Yeah.
And most of them aren't even swapping out CDs anymore. They're just clicking files, and they have a virtual mixer is what's going on.
That's true.
And so what we're trying to say today is that our recording studio is wherever we have. Now, this room here was the actual room that we did a recording. This is a public space that we reserved and for ourselves. And we just come in here and we just start talking.
That's right. Now, that is not to diminish the high quality of what we're providing to you, but we are making a point that it ain't what you think.
Now, I want to make a couple of comments. I have run into people that are more from the radio background, and they're more audio types. They're from a more traditional audio.
Right.
And they kind of have a problem with the way I approach these things, because, I mean, let's be honest. Okay, if you ever get any of my products, they're not like what I would consider Hollywood quality products.
They're not polished gems,
right?
Yeah.
However, I will say this: while they are certainly not Hollywood budget, I would say that they're a little bit above a lot of the stuff that you see out there. And I will also venture to say that most people don't really care. They're in it for the information. For example, if you're listening to this video, okay, you want to learn something, you want to get some insights. But if you wanted to see a Hollywood movie production, you certainly wouldn't be watching this video. You'd be renting it from Netflix.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You're in it for the information.
It's the difference between paying with popcorn and everything, $30 to go see a movie versus renting a movie versus, we all heard of bootleg, okay? But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, here you want the knowledge and the understanding. You're not wanting to be entertained and wowed. And certainly, you know, this is the point that Matthew's making. There is value in some of your ideas, thoughts, and things that you're able to expose people to. Cost should not be a barrier. Lack of other resources he'll talk about should not be a barrier. We're telling you, you can afford to do it, and here's how.
Right. And really what it comes down to is that what we're saying is when Tony was holding that plate up, we had a lapel microphone, and it went into my laptop, and that laptop at the time was running Windows XP and with Sony SoundForge, and that was all it was. Now, what ended up happening with the recordings, Tony, is that once I got back home, I went into Sony SoundForge and basically clipped out all the ums and your nose. And so you'll find that the audio recordings, the way I speak, is far more polished than the way I speak on these videos, which is far more unforgiving.
Yes.
But so it is, a lot of the recording studios is now very PC based, computer based.
Okay.
Now, as we make this video recording, we don't have a microphone. Now, I'm not going to say we're not going to have a microphone one day, but because this is sort of a low budget production and we're just trying to do this fast, we just forego the microphone.
Right.
Now, in the case of audio recording, I do recommend, you know, having some kind of microphone. Now, the thing about it is, though, I will say that today you can do a lot more things than what we did years back. And the difference is, like this recording that we make, we could conceivably, once this recording is made, we could just simply strip out keep the audio only.
True, that's right, yeah.
And that's really, I mean, technology has made life so much easier. So this show that you're watching, which is really meant for video, we could just as well strip out it and make this an audio MP3 file, which you could listen to on in your car if you were burning a CD,
Yeah.
or your iPod.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Now,
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was
go
going
ahead.
to say that and the great thing about it is that well, you were talking about technology, that the platform to be able to capture audio. I mean, I've gone to workshops and seminars where you can record using your cell phone.
oh yeah.
And you can then forward it to some. I mean, technology has just opened the door to so many avenues for people. I'm not going to say that wouldn't be a step up or step down. I'm just saying possibilities, but you've got to be able to think in terms of possibilities, and I just want to bring that up.
Well, that's true. Really, look, I mean, I'm all for trying to get people together, ideally to produce an audio program or video program, but I'm going to tell you that it is not always practical. So if you go to our broadcasting website, tempestbroadcasting.com, you're going to find that I host shows with people that are not in Columbus. Now, ideally, I love sitting, side by side with my co-host,
Right.
Tony.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that because we're living in the same city. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury, with the other folks. So in the past, what we ended up having to do was do telephone interviews. If you are going to do a telephone interview, and you want to make a product, I would recommend a product called usbrecorder.com. I mean, actually, it's called the USB Recorder, but the website is usbrecorder.com.
Okay.
And really what it does is it allows you to generate these audio files of phone conversations.
Okay. All right.
And it's actually, it's a great little product for the long distance stuff.
Now, do you have to be using voice over internet?
No, you don't. Actually, you use landlines.
Okay.
The only component that's really digital is that as you guys are talking on the landline, there's a connection that connects from the phone into the computer,
Okay.
and
okay.
that's what gets captured.
All right. I was wondering how did it get between the conversation through the PC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it hooks into the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, although I did say landline, you technically actually
Your cell phone or anything else?
Well, actually, let me think about that. Actually, you need to, that's actually landline based, which is really what I recommend because cell phones are, the
quality of the
the
reception
quality is not so good.
Okay.
Actually, I've started playing with a little handheld device. It's like a digital voice recorder.
Yeah.
But they have this little earbud, which is also a microphone.
Oh,
So you
okay.
listen to it, but it's also a microphone. So as you're talking to it,
You can
it
hear
captures.
yourself.
Yeah, you can hear yourself, and you can. Well, actually, you can hear the other person, but more importantly, it gets recorded into the digital voice recorder.
Okay. All
So
right.
now it's gotten to the point
Right.
where you can actually record cell phone conversations and have that as your audio content.
Cool.
I mean, and it's just technology has changed so dramatically. Now, another thing that's really nice is if you want to make audio, is if you don't want to get the USB recorder and use a telephone, is using Uvu.
Okay.
Uvu is a competitor to Skype.
Okay.
Okay, you may have heard of Skype,
I have,
for
yeah.
video calls, and I just like Uvu a little bit better. And again, by capturing that conversation, you can convert that, that video file into audio.
Okay. So Uvu is a voice over internet?
Yes, it is a service that is over
Okay.
internet based.
All
Yes,
right.
it is definitely internet based.
So is it fundamentally designed for capturing conversations, or is that just a function that is available?
It is fundamentally meant for video conversations
Oh.
or video conferencing in
Gotcha.
our case.
Okay.
But yeah, the free product you can go ahead and it'll obviously call your friends. Actually, we may do that one day.
Oh, okay.
If you've got a webcam.
Yeah.
Do you have a webcam?
I gotta find it.
Okay. We may do it. If we're too lazy to get together in the same room. If you've
Video
I've never
in-
asked
in
you.
pajamas.
We'll make sure we just get the headshot. But on a more serious note, the recording studio quite literally is anywhere you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we made clear that we didn't have one. But the other thing is having the understanding that there's value in so many things that you may have just not given thought to, that you can translate through the technology and things Matthew has talked about into some valuable product that you can use to inform, educate, and raise your profile professionally, personally, and certainly pursue market opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there certainly are some subtle differences between, creating an audio for sort of like marketing purposes. Mm-hmm. The expectations aren't really as high. People are just happy to get good information, even
right.
if the quality isn't so good, versus something that's a little bit more of a higher ticket item.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it really is in the packaging and the creativity. So if you are actually doing a presentation in a seminar that you charge, even if the quality isn't so good, people did pay X amount of dollars to be in the seminar, and yet you're getting that from the convenience of your home.
Absolutely.
So keep in mind, and I think you already know this, Tony, it's just another method to deliver your message.
Right.
And it's another way to create a product. And of course, if you want to monetize it directly, that's fine. If you just simply want to use it as a marketing tool, that's fine. But that's what the exciting part is.
Right. Well, as we'll be wrapping up, it goes back to something I said in our previous episode, that the spoken word preceded the written word.
Yes.
And now we have means to capture and transfer and transmit that has this long-lasting a presence as a written word does. And certainly, Matthew, I appreciate the fact that you shared with all of us some of the tricks of the trade that we hope that some of you will start putting to work.
Well, I wish I could take all the credit. Really, we're just having the benefit of the technology, the ongoing technology revolution. With all these advents, it just becomes easier and easier to do all these things.
Yep, that's right. So we want you to do them.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in on this episode of TurnKey Publishing with myself and Tony, and we'll see you in our next episode. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.